All right, today we're going to go over how to use the AI HSR risk reference tool, version 2.0. Before we do that, a very brief background of why we even have this tool. So, the core issue with AI and research is this incredible tension. On one hand, you have this promise for good, but on the other, we have these really significant risks that we're all just starting to try and wrap our heads around. For example, AI can be trained to spot cancer cells with like superhuman accuracy, which could literally save lives. But if that same AI was trained on poor quality data, or biased data, for example, mostly coming from a certain group of people, well, then that could end up being way less accurate for different types of people and maybe even harmful. Basically, it's hard coding existing health inequalities right into our most advanced tools. And that is the tightrope walking to tackle this problem head on. We cannot just wing it. We need a new kind of playbook, and that's exactly what we hope to create here. A clear, systematic way for researchers and reviewers to think about and manage these completely new kinds of risks. IRBs are facing a new and really difficult dilemma. Well, not just IRBs, but research administrators in general. And our whole job is to protect human subjects of research and make sure the science is ethical and sound. But when AI steps into the field, right, our rule book gets a little bit more complicated. And here's why it's so tough. A lot of research administrators, like IRBs, just don't have in-house experts. And that expertise gap can mean that we're missing AI-specific risks. Our reviews are going to be inconsistent from one institution to the other, and the whole process is going to have delays, especially if you have multiple ancillary reviews. So the bottom line is all of this can lead to, right, not so great protections for the very people like that we're supposed to be protecting, research participants. And so when we're facing that kind of dilemma, how do we equip these ethical reviewers and research administrators for the age of AI? Well, we're going to give them a better playbook, and this is where that tool comes in. It's called the AI HSR Risk Reference Tool, and it's a free web app built specifically for the research administrators and IRBs, but also for researchers and developers who are actually building these AI systems. Its entire reason for being is to help them spot, evaluate, and deal with the unique risks that come along with AI and human research. And what's novel about this is that it's designed to be practical, dynamic field guide, something that a reviewer can literally have open right next to a research proposal to actively guide their thinking. Now, for a field guide to be actually useful, it needs a clear structure. The AI HSR risk reference tool is reliable because it's based on real standards and real data. It's not guesswork. It is grounded in a dual framework for rigorous review. The first framework is a risk-based AI development lifecycle framework. We call that the three-stage approach. Um, and so this three-stage approach uses well-established software development rules established by the IMDRF, or International Medical Device Regulatory Forum. So what does that mean? It means the tool follows the same steps that engineers use to find hazards, judge risk, and check safety over time in sensitive technology like software medical devices. So in other words, that three-stage framework breaks an AI project down into three logical steps. First, you've got the initial discovery and idea phase where you're training the model, and then you move into the pilot phase or validation where you're testing and validating in a controlled way, often simulated environments. And then finally, stage three is deployment, and that's when it's actually being used in a real clinical or real world setting. So by using this framework in our tool, the tool helps IRB reviewers understand that AI risk is not static. It evolves. It is not linear. It is cyclical. So in stage one, the risk is lower and the IRB's focus is on the basics, right? Is the data good? Is it biased? Is it private? Was it obtained with the proper consent? Does it qualify for a waiver? But by stage three, when the AI is influencing real world people and their care or lives, then that risk is at its highest. So the focus has to shift to real world safeguards and continuous monitoring. To learn more about the three-stage framework and all the details, you might want to attend we have webinars as well, some guidance here at techandhsr.com. Okay, so that's the three-stage framework. That tells you when to look for risks, but what exactly are you even looking for? Well, that tool that we have organizes all these potential dangers into seven major categories or domains. It covers everything from technical failures to social impacts, and here they are. These seven domains give reviewers a complete map of the AI risk landscape. Basically, it's a comprehensive checklist of what could go wrong. You've got ones that you'd expect, like discrimination and privacy, but you also have these more nuanced areas like human-computer interaction, which digs into how the end user and the research participants will actually interface and use the tool. And then you've got socioeconomic impacts, which may or may not fall in the scope of the IRB. Its risk categories come from the MIT AI Risk Repository, which collects hundreds of documents and AI failures. Because this database is updated by researchers, then the tool reflects current real-world risks. And so our tool took this library and mapped every risk back to federal research rules, 45 CFR 46, 21 CFR 56, and core ethics principles. In other words, it's aligned with the Common Rule and the Belmont Report. So in simple terms, this tool acts like a translator. It's going to turn engineering language into clear ethical checks so IRBs can review AI research accurately and consistently. So you may be asking, well, why do we have both? And that's because the three-stage framework tells you when to look for the risks, but the MIT Risk and Mitigation Library comes and tells you what to look for under those specific stages of development and the realistic risks of those risks. And so, more importantly, our AI HSR tool organizes all of these potential dangers and then aligns their mitigation with the IRB approval criteria under 45 CFR 46111. So this tool, version 2.0, is the result of version 1.5 beta tester feedback. So thanks to your feedback, it has been significantly improved and simplified. So how do you use it? All you have to do is read your protocol, identify what the general risks are for that given study, then filter and find a prompt, in other words, a templated reviewer comment. Copy and paste that comment into your reviewer notes. You can also edit that prompt or comment to fit your specific study. And in fact, we do encourage you to tailor each prompt or comment to meet the specifics of the study that you just reviewed. The tool provides a dedicated reviewer prompts tab that filters 21 categories of ready-to-use questions based on its development stage and risk domain. We just talked about that. And that allows users to instantly generate specific inquiries or comments tailored to that study's maturity level. In other words, that stage of development. So this feature is uniquely helpful because it transforms abstract risk concepts into an actionable workflow, and that enables reviewers to copy and paste accurate questions directly into their reviewer notes so that they can message and be effective in communicating with the study teams. And that's going to save time and ensure a comprehensive oversight. Okay, so if you're not sure, well, what the risks are, or you're a novice AI HSR reviewer, you can leverage the tool's example case studies. In a separate tab, we provide 13 real-world use case scenarios, which we created to allow more novice users to learn how to identify precedents similar to the protocol that you're reviewing, and then understand typical risk profiles for different types of AI models. So this feature enables users to learn from concrete examples by viewing phase-specific mitigation strategies applied in comparable studies. And that's going to help you visualize how specific risks were managed in contexts ranging from anything from predictive triage to generative AI chatbots. So unlike a generic AI safety and risk evaluation resources, this tool is uniquely practical for human subjects research because it directly maps technical risks to specific 45 CFR 46 and 21 CFR 56 regulatory criteria. It transforms abstract safety concepts into actionable compliance checks, and it further distinguishes itself from this purely theoretical academic framework that we're used to seeing, and avoids expensive commercial software by providing it free, a validated toolkit containing ready-to-use reviewer prompts that facilitate immediate implementation without cost barriers. So yes, it is free as long as it's being used for non-commercial educational purposes. There is no software or login requirement, and most importantly, you do not have to enter any confidential business information, PII or PHI. So, wrapping things up, technology is moving forward at an unprecedented pace, and tools like this one show us it is possible to build frameworks for safety and ethics. But the fundamental challenge is still there for all of us. As our technological power just keeps growing, how do we make sure that our wisdom keeps up? So, for now, this tool brings us one step closer in the support of responsible advancement of AI in human subjects research. And thank you for joining.